Listeners who didn't wish to hear about such things should turn off their radios.
Welcome back to Predictorama 2023, where you guessed it, share some predictions about big tech, innovation, and the like. If you missed it, I started this series off with a premise video that explored the forces, the fingers in the clay, if you will, that are shaping what big tech actually looks like. I'll post a link to that video above, as it's the framework for all of this year's predictions. This year, I provided 7 predictions about big tech that cover everything from social platforms to AI and everything in between. And so, with no further ado, let's jump into the first prediction. Twitter will launch a payments platform this year. Now look, I'm aware that on the surface, this one sounds like a pretty mundane prediction. But I promise, there's a lot more going on here than at first meets the eye. Because first, let's talk a little bit about Twitter and Musk at a higher level for a minute. From rumors of constant internal chaos and to laying off half of his staff, the first few months of his tenure as the CEO of Twitter, they've been tumultuous to say the least. On top of that, he also became the first person ever to lose $200 billion in wealth, which he managed to do in about a year. And yes, this is a record. From a financial perspective, this makes Kanye's demise look like a rounding error. Oh, Kanye. Anyway, when his bid to buy Twitter finally went through back in October of last year, many of us were left scratching our heads because why? Why on earth would the world's wealthiest man even want to buy Twitter in the first place? Especially when you consider all of the other things that he has going on. Because on the one hand, he lives in the future, so to speak. The future of cars, cities, energy, space, his aspirations for humanity to become a multiplanetary species, inhabiting Mars, all this stuff, it's absolutely endless. But then on the other hand, you've got dirty-ass Twitter, aka the bathroom wall of the internet. On the surface, it just didn't make any sense. People have speculated many reasons for this purchase, everything from this being an ego play to a really, really expensive hobby. Does he really look like the type of guy who needs another hobby? Anyway, when asked directly, Musk claimed that he bought Twitter to air quotes save humanity because of free speech. And sure, there might be some truth in all of that. But to me, it's painfully obvious what's actually going on here. Musk is building a super app. It's the only logical explanation. Repeat, Musk is building a super app. In my overview video, I went into what makes up a super app. And again, it's a product that can enable social, transportation, and payments all together under one umbrella. These are the pillars of a super app, and they're hugely valuable. Everybody in Silicon Valley is trying to build one, but nobody has actually been able to pull it off, at least not yet. Okay, so why do I think he's building a super app? Well, let's start with transportation. He obviously has transportation with Tesla, but when you think about the vectors of that industry towards automation over the next couple of decades, they have the potential to not just be a car company, but rather a transportation network. An infrastructure that simply makes cities and people go. They're laying the groundwork for logistics and transportation on steroids. And look, there's a lot that needs to be laid down before that can happen, but regardless, that's the bet that's being played with Tesla. Speculations on that future are the only thing that's justified their incredibly high valuation thus far. And now with the acquisition of Twitter though, Musk, he inherited an under-leveraged social platform, that second pillar of a social app. Chaos, sync puns, and turmoil aside though, the biggest takeaway from Musk's first quarter at the helm is the need to monetize the platform. They are hemorrhaging money. And look, we've all heard about things like Twitter Blue or charging for DMs, even e-com integrations, all of these. They're potential features for Twitter, and a native payments platform, as I'm predicting here, would be a natural fit for really all of those goals. And when you think about the rise of peer-to-peer payments like Venmo and the like over the past decade or so, that behavior, sending money to your friends, this is such an obvious fit for a social platform when you think about it. But again, there's more to this than may first appear. Payments, that's the third pillar. And let's not forget that he was also a founder of PayPal. So payments are certainly a native language. And should native payments on Twitter mature, we have the 3 pillars in place. And if you add to that Starlink, SpaceX's satellite internet service that Musk also owns, there's the potential here to create an unprecedented amount of data. I mean, just think about that. In that scenario, he would own the rails of the internet, so to speak, with Starlink, on top of which those 3 pillars of transportation, social, and payments could run. That's not a super app. That's a super app. And look, I want to be really clear here. I'm not some Musk fanboy or something. In fact, I disagree with a lot of the things that he does, especially with his actions that led to securities fraud charges and all that stuff. It's really sketchy. It's kind of shocking he's been able to get away with it for as long as he has. But it's really hard to call that guy stupid. He started PayPal, he runs Tesla, and back in 2013, Neil deGrasse Tyson said that the frontiers of space will never be led by a private space company. But that same year, in fact, only a couple months later, SpaceX launched a rocket, moonwalked it back to Earth, and now they have NASA contracts to take astronauts to space. He was one of the founders of OpenAI that has released some of the most mind-blowing AI I've ever seen this year. And look, you don't have to like him, but that resume is beyond reproach. He's trying to build the future, and surely he sees Twitter as part of that new world and not some weird side hustle. And so yeah, Musk is building a super app. I think that's a real plan here, and a payments platform that's going to be an important step in that direction this year. If you like this content, be sure to check out the other prediction videos for this year's Predictorama, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that jazz.